Hi, it's me again, David Pino, and right now I'm just getting a text. Well, right now I'm just here to take a study break and talk about something that I think is very, again, important, and it's very relevant, I think, in my life, and it will be relevant within a lot of incoming scholars, academics, et cetera, et cetera. And it's making the national discourse. And that's the question about the sexual assault discussion at that is very pervasive on college. Before our course, I'd like to say, if you get easily triggered, by this, I would just warn you. This is pretty triggering subject matter. Be careful. Otherwise, I hope you could stick around because this is obviously very insightful. But yeah, I don't want to re-trigger any memories of violence, especially for those who survived these incidents. So, with that, let's get into it. So, today, or actually, really, actually, throughout last week, a reporter by the name of Jason Felch was let go of the Los Angeles Times after admitting that he had an inappropriate relationship with a source. And this Felch had written, a report about how Oxy basically was violating the Clery Act, which requires that they report, crime to the U.S. Department of Education, I believe, and so yeah, and that implying essentially that that there's kind of a cover up going on, which is absolutely the case. And so he used like 11 sources, and and so he had an inappropriate relationship with one of them, a faculty source apparently. I will not speculate on who. It is neither my concern, and at the end of the day, it really doesn't actually matter, because the fact remains that obviously it's a professional lapse. It's not something you're supposed to do as a journalist. It's a violation of journalistic principle, and so that's that. However, what is very disconcerting to me is not so much the violation of journalistic ethics, but rather how the college is using is kind of flipping the script in a way in order to make this a quote unquote sex scandal, right? Um, and make this into a defocus and decenter the attention away from the fact that they are covering up a lot here at this school. And so um, one thing that I think we need to really focus on is because you have the revolution, right, and then you have the counter revolution, and which is the backlash from the powers that be, or the supporters of the said power. And obviously this $3 million PR firm that they President Jonathan Veach, of the college, obviously paid for in order to deal with this whole situation that's been brewing since last spring, and has found a way really to help, I guess, de-center the focus, or try and unfocus the attention on the actual issues at hand. And it's very disturbing, and I think it's highly indicative of the leadership in which has absolutely, I think, in many ways failed the survivors of sexual assault, and failed, just activists in general. You know, I've known quite a few people who've been let, go of their jobs because they called out administration, seemingly in a very democratic, like adhering to this democratic ideal of, freedom of speech as well as assembly, synthesis, and debate. And then they get the consequences for it. They get let go. They get fired from their job. And so There's that whole thing, and then of course I've known faculty too, who've complained about being just so sick of, hearing about all these various, vice presidents and, the administration at the top, who they claim is not really for, anything, like they're not really for actual change, and and it's just it's very disturbing. And I mean, I'm overusing the word disturbing, but there's really no other way to say it. It's just, it is what it is. Um, and that's just kind of the thing about leadership. When you have the wrong leadership and the wrong structures in place, it can make a very toxic environment for everybody, you know. And so, hearing about how they're burying sexual assault reports and literally allowing, you know, rapists, not even bringing them to justice, or bringing justice to either party, getting really at, trying to really find the facts of, the investigation, instead just trying to avoid lawsuits and bury the whole thing. And it creates a very unsafe environment, because we do know, like, what, 70 or 80% of perpetrators are serials. So, they're likely to commit another one. And so it's just, it really, yeah, the leadership at the top, they're just toxic people. And it's not enough to just get rid of them, because the structures in place have made it very difficult to see actual change. It's like you take one cog out of the machine and then you just put in another. You get a bunch of yes people. To be gender neutral, you get a bunch of yes people who just follow orders and bury reports and do all kinds of things, and it's I mean, I can't even really be logical or academic about this in the way that I was in my last video, because the simple fact is it's just very disheartening. Like, I've known plenty of survivors of sexual assault, as well as perpetrators of sexual assault, um, who've made this campus, which provides so much tension on this campus and distracts from the actual purpose of us being here, which is to educate ourselves and to make credible change, hopefully credible, good change, throughout the world. And this can't be done if we're constantly, um, under fear that um, that there are perpetrators walking around on campus, doing whoever. Because again, it's not just women who go through this. Men, absolutely, 1 in 33, men will, be victim to to sexual assaults of another. And so, um, that's just it just it creates an environment of unsafety. And then what's even worse, though, are the people at the top who make it so toxic that you can hardly even breathe. Now, what happens when leadership fails? We've seen this with, I think, in national discourse with Richie Incognito, right? Who bullied his teammate Jonathan Martin. What was disturbing, of course, aside from the racial epithets, and the death threats, whether facetious or not, is they still had the same psychological effect on Jonathan Martin, because he ended up going into a psychiatric hospital as opposed to doing anything else. Thank goodness, right? And but what was really disconcerting about the whole thing was the fact that his teammates let it happen. Like, there was no strong leadership within the locker room to then address and prevent Martin, or to prevent Richie Incognito from doing this. And you can draw parallels really to any college, especially here, where it's like we're allowing these bullies to stay on campus. We're allowing these, subversives to absolutely undermine, the rights of many people here. And yet, and then, yeah, like, we're allowing them to stay here, and then expect, like, do you expect this to be harmonious and without tension? Like, no, it just wouldn't happen. And so, back to kind of the whole thing with Jason Felch, of course, is the fact remains that, okay, sure, he had this inappropriate relationship with someone, which, and again, at the same time, it's a relationship between two consenting adults. It's not as if he took advantage of a young source that was half his age or old enough to be his daughter or something, or young enough to be his daughter or something. Um, and at the same time, that doesn't invalidate any of the facts that he presented. There's still a really ugly situation going on here in terms of the cover ups. There's no transparency with administration, and there are the wrong people in the wrong places. And whether it's the dean of students, the president of the college, the whoever, residential education is starting to come under fire too. And I already did a video about what I found problematic about them with that whole, which is happening tomorrow, the silent and solidarity crap that's going to happen. So um, yeah, once again, it's just like, at Occidental College, and I'm sure this is prevalent in many other institutions, there's just the wrong type of leadership and there's the wrong structures. And a lot of people will probably say, oh, they're human beings too. And that's to be understood. But the basic, if you want to believe in a humanistic principle, that means you believe in the value and inherent worth of all human beings, and you want them to therefore stay safe, have I guess, the enlightenment principle of having life, liberty, and the pursuit of property or pursuit of happiness, if you believe in that. And so, and we deny people that when we allow bullies who perpetrate mass amounts of violence, the 4% who do this, to affect the many. And then, of course, worse at that, when you don't address the actual issues, at hand, and you fire the people and you chastise the people who are trying to make an actual credible change here, that you would want in any democratic society. Which makes you question, are we really in a democratic society? But that could be a whole new video at some other time. But that's really my whole takeaway about this. I think as students, we need to begin to mobilize and really, I mean, I'm going to graduate in 2 months anyway, but I think especially for the younger students and the incoming students, knowing something about Occidental College in Eagle Rock, Los Angeles, California, it's time for an actual change. And whether you want to be in part of that impeach Veach, or you want to change the entire structure, however you do it, I think it's time we do need a viable change. And I don't see, I love my experience here at Occidental College. I'll put it like that. But I don't see this college changing with the type of personnel that we have. And it's just a damn shame, because this college, helped mold many of my, the faculty mostly. The administration didn't do shit, like in terms of my ideology, but the excuse me, the faculty in this college and some of the campus climate really exposed me to going to the path that I want to go on, which is to be an academic slash activist, slash artist too, I guess, in terms of what I want to do. Like, I want to go back to my community and I want to help my people. And it's just unfortunate that despite them preaching these ideals, the administration is not all for it. Just because they look like you doesn't mean they're for you. And just because they say they're for you doesn't mean they're really for you. They talk the talk, but they don't even walk. They can't even crawl. Like, it's that much to me. And so, yeah, that's my thoughts. I just wanted to break that down. This was a bit long. I'm trying to get this shorter, but I mean, hell, you gotta just kind of sometimes you gotta just roll with it. You know what I mean? So that's me. Okay, you can, yeah, so thanks for sticking around. You can follow me at Mr. D Pino on Twitter, and then you can follow me on Tumblr, King Pino. Yeah, I mean, those are really the only two things I got going on right now. Don't be a basic and follow me, and like if you're a basic, don't follow me, please. Like, just don't. I would just waste your time. Like, and also you would just annoy me. But I mean, if you down and you're a supporter, go ahead. But hey, anyway, got to get back to this homework. Good night. God bless. Peace.